Hello and welcome to another episode of Time of Day, the Transatlantic Wargaming Podcast, brought to you by Break for Assault. I'm Lee Parnell, recording from somewhere in the south of England, and as ever, I'm joined across Atlantic by my host, Mike. Mike, how are you and how is LA?
Oh, we've entered the summer period, so it's brutal in Los Angeles at the moment. More brutal than normal. We
Uh,
bounce between 85 and 105 on any given day of the week at the moment, and it kind of sucks.
you see, we've had our day of summer, so now it's just gone back to being grey and overcast all the time.
As you
Albeit,
deserve.
albeit slightly warmer and uncomfortable in the evenings now, so it's a wet heat. But yeah. So tonight we're going back to do a bit more Team Yankee tonight, aren't we?
Yes, Battlefront has decided that after months and months of radio silence, they were just gonna open the floodgates of content. And also, Firestorm Games might have leaked some stuff. So we have dynamic points on the agenda, and then everyone's favorite rampant speculation of boxes, which we'll do
Yes.
afterwards.
We've been crunching the numbers in both respects to try and work out what might be in the boxes and also if these points make any sense.
Oh man.
So I don't know about you, but I was completely caught off by this. I mean, we've been talking on the podcast, on the Shoot Scoop podcast for a while about late war getting dynamic points and speculating when that might occur. And like I say, out of nowhere, all of a sudden Team Yankee dynamic points, which wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't,
No,
it was completely out of the
because
blue.
they started with the mid-war points, and they were like,
Mhm.
yeah, and if it goes, we'll expand to other things. And everyone's like, okay, cool. The next logical step is late war, and they went, nay, nay. Team Yankee needs love and attention, and I'm like, well, it does actually. And
Yep, can't argue
honestly,
that.
this is just I've put no thought into this. I don't look at ETC results or anything like that, but I feel like late war is fairly well regulated
It,
between
yeah.
the books. Most like I think it's easier to fix late war than it is to fix Team Yankee because you just
Mhm.
release more books and it goes, okay, look, uh, D-Day Germans had a lot of problems. By the time we get to Bulge, we've mostly fixed the Germans in a way that you can actually run stuff,
Hmm.
and it's not just like here my, you know, the Super Marines are still an option, but like here's a way to mix in some stuff with your Super Germans to make a list that actually has more than 3 tanks. But with Team Yankee, they just okay, here's your book for the Soviets. There you go, you're done. And
Hmm.
like, yes, the Warsaw Pact book came out and added some flavor, but you can't mix and match like you could with late war. So I, didn't
Yeah.
expect Team Yankee to get dynamic points first, but I can see why Battlefront's done this.
Yeah, and it's interesting what they have done because largely they've done two things. And the first one makes kind of sense. They basically brought down the points of almost all the Gen 3 tanks,
Yes,
what I call Generation 3s. Everything was
desperately needed.
basically Cobham or era armor. And we said for outrageous, the problem you have in Team Yankee is the gulf between the points of a Gen 1 or Gen 2 tank, like a Leopard or a T-55, and the gulf of a Gen 3 tank, Leopard 2, Abrams, so on. It just physically can't kill enough of the Gen 1s or Gen 2s before they get to you because they just so outweigh you in points. And all across the board, all those Gen 3s had a substantial drop in points, especially the up armored ones. The other thing was kind of interesting. I say interesting with quotation marks around. Across the board, almost all air defenses have goblin points, especially the SAM systems. Cannon systems slightly less so, but the SAM systems in generally have gone up a lot.
I
Now,
think most, if I still think the vast majority of cannon systems went up because all the Gepards
mhm.
went up, the
Everything went up, yeah.
PVADs went up, the Shulkas
Hmm.
went up, the Tunguskas went up for some reason.
Poro Tunguskers.
The weird VDV mounted on a BTR.
Oh yeah, 20 millimeter. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those went up.
Now, obviously, one of those I expected because the rapier, I've always said for far too long, is way too cheap for what it does. And that's gone up quite substantially as we get onto the sec. But yeah,
Yes, the rapiers. I forgot about those.
yeah, the rapiers were always why is this 6 points? Is better than almost every single SAM system in the game somehow. Wire AP is so good. It wasn't that good in real life. And it's like, why is it rate of fire 3 is command guided? You literally have to fire one missile, complete the engagement, and then go to the next missile. You can't fire 3. You can barely fire one at a time. But yeah. Anyway, they got up in price, which is hurting my Australians somewhat. But yeah, so you crunched numbers. You actually worked out what the delta is between these, and they're
Yeah, I took the time and I put together a spreadsheet because Battlefront just said, here's the new points. Last
mhm.
time I checked, I'm gonna just go ahead and look into this right now and see if there's any kind of option to actually use dynamic points in forces, the little toggle that was,
Last I checked,
in
no.
mid-war. And
So when they did this mid-war, when they did the first consultation, they were in forces. It wasn't until after the consultation they went to actually the
right,
sort of the
so
feedback. So I don't expect it to be in now. What they'll do is they'll
they're
let
not, and I
people,
just finished checking it.
yeah, they'll just want people to go off, play with them, get some feedback in, um, and yeah. So for example, let's look at say the beast that is an M1A1HC,
Okay,
you
let
know,
me
heavy composition.
oh,
So we're going to take this tank and put some depleted uranium all over it because that's healthy. Um, so two of those in the old points was 36 points. In the new money, as they were, they're now 23 points. Yep, line 6.
yeah, so
Yeah.
13-point drop is nothing to sneeze at.
I mean, that's almost a Bradley platoon straight away.
Yes, like that is massive amounts of savings. I still think the M1A1HC might be a little too expensive, but the M1A1s dropping down to 10 points a tank is real spicy
hmm
if we take a look, because you know, the HCs are about, 11 and a half, 12 points ish a tank, and I don't feel like you need that extra oomph in armor.
hmm
I think though those again, when we're playing in such a narrow band of Battlefront points, I feel like those it's not enough benefit for points.
No, but on the other hand, it's only like, I mean, comparing 2 for 2, it's only a 3 point upgrade to get that extra bit of armor. So you could have your
Yeah.
HQ and 2IC rock the HCs, and then your actual line platoons, go with the actual, standard M1A1. Because, like I say, the delta on the AT is far more important than the delta on the armor.
Yes.
Mm.
But
Because
again,
that
like
problem
looking at
Leopard
the
2 have.
HCs, 4 HCs went from 72 to 46 points. 26 points is literally a quarter of your list.
Yeah.
And you've saved that in a singular platoon. Now, I don't know anyone who's running a 4-strong M1A1HC platoon unless we're playing, okay, we're playing 300 points, but bring top line stuff.
Yeah. These are my 80s heavy metal rules I came up with. Yes.
Right. So,
But yeah, I mean, now it's almost a one drop reserve at 46 points. It's like in a
it's
100 point game, you're basically it's 6 points
still
over
like
being.
it's still pretty much half your list, but running 3 of them at 35 is like, oh yeah, I could actually run an M1A1HC company if I was crazy enough. I would save the points and just run regular M1A1s.
hmm
But even the base M1s and the IPs also got a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Discount.
Yes, yeah.
And I think this will mostly just offset any increases in AA if
hmm
you were just running. I mean, the IPM1 is the go-to M1 variant at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
think it'll
Basically,
easily switch to the M1A1 being the standard go-to because we're only talking about you know, a 3 to 5 point increase overall.
yeah, because for IPM ones is 33 points now, a 3 point drop. Basically, this pays for upgrade from the M1. But like I
Right.
say,
So
the M1A1 is only like 7 points more at 40 points. So yeah, it's
yeah. But like if we're looking at old points, if I'm running a trio of IPM1s, I can make them
mhm.
all M1A1s for 3 more points now,
Yeah.
which is massive. spending 3 points to turn IPs into A1s is nuts.
I kind of wish I hadn't built mine as IPs now.
Ah, well,
That's
you
good.
see,
That's why I go.
I,
Yes.
a man of intelligence, only ever built M1A1s because
Hmm.
they're for Anzacs, and I only have like 5. So,
Yes. Yeah, my Anzacs are M1A1s, obviously. Yeah.
but
But
it's not all gravy for the Americans. Obviously, points have to increase. So
mhm.
the Chaparral has gone up 50%. The Sergeant York, for God knows what reasons, gone up 50%. The VADs went up a few points.
That's about 50% again. It's about 50% increase each time.
The Humvee Stingers, I'm still like, Stingers aren't that good, but
Yeah.
they went up
Yeah, they're not.
again a
Well, they were
point or 2.
4 points,
So
so they're quite an easy auto include for self-aware systems. I think what Battlefront are trying to do is make anti-air less of an auto include. Um, I think what they're trying to do here is encourage people to take air as a counter to mass tank sport spamming. Because let's face it, a pair of Royal Air Force Harriers will do a number on a mass T-55 or BTR list. But half the time you couldn't get there because the Soviet air was always so. You're basically dropping 8 points for a quarter of Stingers, a quarter of SA-13s, and it makes barely a dent on your points.
uh,
Now they're going up. It makes it. You have to make some choices.
what's the firepower on a Stinger? Is it a 4 up or a 5 up?
Four up. So a
4
red
up,
die is
okay,
five. A Stinger's four. So
sure.
the
But
Stinger's
like
good.
there
Just
are some AA systems. Like obviously we're not getting to with the Americans, but like the Red Eyes and the Gaskins going up the same amount for 2 5 firepower 5 shots. I'm like, why?
yeah, and there's other stuff like in the French list, the little 20 mm AMX anti-aircraft tanks. It's just like they weren't that good.
Yes.
It feels
Like
like if you're only firepower five, you should probably be where you were.
I
And
agree. Or if
so
you only had like,
Shulkers,
especially like I think what the French 20 mils, the Soviet 20 mils only had like 2 or 3 shots.
hmm, yeah,
Like they had significantly short range. So I understand that they just went, okay, all AA goes up like 50%, but
hmm,
some of it should have been left alone. Like, cause some of
yeah.
the stuff is trash and people only bring it because, well, I need some kind of air defense and it fits. Like I run Gaskins all the time. Every Soviet list auto include 4 Gaskins because they were 2 points. If you didn't bring any aircraft, whatever, they just sit in the back
Hmm.
and they provide bulk. I'm
See,
still
I
gonna
used,
do that at 4 Gaskins. I'm still
mhm.
gonna do that. I'll pay the extra 2 points, but it's
I stopped running Gaskins because it always disappointed me that firepower five. I for a while I tried taking them as a cost saving measure over taking the Gophers, but that drop from four to five and the range decrease just hurt me every single time.
well, I mean, I
So
was
that
bringing Gaskins in addition to Shulkas, and my local meta doesn't run too much aircraft.
yeah.
So it was always like, someone brings aircraft, sure, I've invested minimal points. Like I might even just drop it to 2 Gaskins. I
Hmm.
haven't I haven't played with the new points yet. I'm gonna be honest. They came out fairly recently,
Yeah.
but I still think that, there are some things that should have just been left alone.
It's like if they so if here's something you think. So obviously the Gaskins and Shulkers have gone from 4 points to 6 points, I think, now for the full strength platoons. This one go to the
Uh,
Soviet tab.
sorry, I built this with every single country being
Hmm.
its own tab. So I think I'm at like 18 or so tabs. So the spreadsheet is a little
Yeah.
unwieldy to look through.
But I just wonder if what would be interesting if they put the Shulk and the SA-13 up and then kept Tunguska at the same price, where that might have made for Tunguska worth taking at that point.
I think at that point it's just you run Shulkas and Gaskins instead of Gophers, and you just have more shots in 2 units that can be in more places.
Yeah, let's just try and find
Like the Tunguska, where is the Tunguska? Oh, there it is.
82. Yeah,
It's 12 points for 4 of them.
I
That's
know.
insane.
And it's got a really good missile shot, but it's
Yeah.
just like,
But how many T-62s can I get for 12 points? It's 5.
yeah, yeah. I really want. I love Tungus as a model, but I never take it
Oh,
out the
look.
case.
Look. In Warno, the Tunguska is great. It's an absolute beast. In
Hmm.
Team Yankee, because you can only ever choose one system and you can't fire one on your turn and fire the other. Like, look, if I could fire missiles on my opponent's turn and fire the auto cannons on my turn, I'm not even
Hmm.
asking to shoot both weapons in a single turn. I'm just saying, like, let me alternate. Let me shoot
Yeah,
missiles on my opponent's turn. Let me shoot cannons on my turn. The Tunguska would then be run. People would run it
yeah.
because it's tougher. It's got better range. It's got great firepower. It's got killer shots. The thing that holds back the Tunguska is the fact that it's one weapon or the other, and that's it.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Otherwise, it'd be it's got a really good cannon shot, albeit saying firepower 5, which is kind of its detriment, but it has got decent anti-tank, decent rate of fire. And it's got a really good missile shot. I mean, it's almost like a little mini gecko for how good its missile shot is.
It's weird. It's like they were never known to fire both weapons at the same time. Even that's a lie. They were known to fire the cannons and the missiles at the same time. Weird how technology works, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you just let me double tap it, even if I can't fire it in alternate system, let me fire both at the same target. There's no kill like overkill.
right. Like I don't know. The Tunguska is long,
Mhm.
sad, big sad Tunguska.
Yeah, actually, there's
Uh
another point here, which is I forgot the Hind has got up as well. It's the
oh
only
yes.
helicopter.
Only
Yeah.
the Hinds have gone up.
Hmm.
Only Hinds.
I think, just to
Not the
my mind,
gunslingers, just the Hinds.
yeah, I agree because I think the Heinz going up makes a kind of sense with NATO anti-aircraft going up because Heinz tend to be appear in most people's lists. So they're not quite an auto include, but it's fairly common. But no, what's even more common? The Gazelle with the 20 millimeter cannon. That thing, any kind of French list always has at least 4 of those.
Well,
Um,
we'll get to it when we go to the French. I think we should just keep going. So was there anything we wanted to talk about else with the Americans?
uh, so one thing I think I would like to see is maybe a slight price drop on the Bradleys. In fact, in general, the sort of the second generation IFVs probably need a slight points drop. The exception being the Marder 2, which is obscene and should be banned from the game. But
They should at least take away the cannon upgrade on the Martyr 2.
yeah, or make it cost more. Um,
Something. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah,
but like
if I remember
Warriors and
the
Brads just really suffer from being too expensive. What they do, I think.
I remember them saying in the article, and I might be misremembering this, is that they
Mhm.
want to take a look at IFEs, but they decided the number one thing that they needed to fix was getting main battle tanks
Yeah, that's
into the
fair.
game and to make leaf blower lists less oppressive.
Hmm.
Because people will go there and go, oh my God, every Soviet list I ever see brings 6 Hinds. Well, you know what? I've had my ass kicked by French leaf blower lists, and their way,
Hmm.
I hate fighting the French way more than I hate fighting Soviets.
I mean, I get my ass kicked every day of the week when I play Mike and his damn US Marine Corps leaf blower list. No, he's bringing like eight AH1s and a pair of no a quad of AV8Bs,
Mhm.
and even my Soviets just can't put enough anti-aircraft shots to deal with that before it gets dissolved.
Yeah, people forget that the Americans also run a pretty effective leaf blower
Hmm.
because you have 4 helicopter slots in Americans, I think.
You have 2 in the force, and then if you
Oh,
take
wow.
an armored cavalryist, you get a third one. So you have three helicopter slots potentially, and
Right,
anti
right.
and
So
aircraft slot.
right, so you can run Cobras or Apaches. You got that, and then you said it was in
Hmm.
the armored cav that you could.
Armored cav, yep.
Yeah, they've got another slot. So yeah, you
Hmm.
can run a lot. And Cobras are, if you're running Tow 1 Cobras, 14 points for 4 is a lot.
And it isn't much more to get a tow too. You can't do a leaf blow with the Apache, that's for sure. The Apache's way too
No, the
expensive.
Apaches are.
Hmm. But
comically expensive at 6 points
because
a
most things in a US Marine Corps rifle formation are quite cheap, it's very easy to take two big platoons of infantry,
hmm
some M60s, which are also dirt cheap, and then
Yes.
have more enough points to go max helicopters, max air, maybe even squeeze in some 109s and some LAV ADs. And obviously, the LAV ADs go up in points, so that gets a little bit.
Yes.
Mhm.
Big sad for U.S. Marine Corps players. Uh,
Yeah, I mean that puts them in the same points as Tunguska's just literally talked about at 12 points.
it's the
But
same point as Chaparrals and Sergeant Yorks.
mm,
But unlike the Chaparral and Sergeant Yorks, the Lav AD is a dual weapon system.
yeah, but oh my god, I mean that main gun just slices through IFEs and that kind of thing. It is
Yeah, AT8, 7 on the halt, 4 on the move, 5
yeah.
of firepower, whatever. That's most chain guns, but like
Mhm.
the Lav AD is dangerous, and it suffers the
Bert.
same problem with the Tunguska does, which is it's one thing, so you can only ever fire one or the other. But
Mhm.
you know, it's still an incredibly dangerous thing.
Yeah, I mean it's but yeah, I mean I see they seem to be quite popular. I mean I played obviously Mike's list. I'm sorry, no chap called Mike also had used Marine Corps and
Mhm.
had a very similar list to Mike, so it's eerie.
Mike's
Um,
love labs. I don't know what to tell you.
cool. What's
Yeah,
not like? It's got like a little sporty, it's a little sports car with a 25 millimeter bush cannon on it.
and it's amphibious. What
It's
more do you
amphibious.
want?
But yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think I agree with you. The M1A1, I think is going to get a big boost out of this. I think, like you say, it is now the sweet spot the IPM1 used to be.
yes. And good news if you were already running Americans, your list probably balances out.
Hmm.
I mean, the decreases will probably cover the increases, so some stuff will probably stay around the same. Especially if you're not investing too heavily. Like if I'm running a couple blocks of IPM ones, I that one squad of IPM ones, saying like 3 of them going on the average, covers
Hmm.
the increase in Humvees.
Yeah.
What you would save in the HQ, and the other one will probably cover your increase in the VAD. So if you're playing, I don't think too many people will see too big a change in points unless you are playing something weird.
Hmm. Also, really high end.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we go to the British next?
Yes.
Because I mean, I have played. I mean, I've got a Gulf War British list, which is basically two warrior platoons, um, some M109s, some rapiers, some scorpions, and then I had one platoon of Challenger Romas, just like sucking all the points up.
Well, good
Now they've gone,
news. You've got a
yeah,
you've got a good discount on them now.
yeah. I mean, it's gone from three of them gone from 39 points to 29 points. It's a healthy drop.
They're not good as your one drop anymore, though, Lee. That's a problem.
Yeah. Damn, it's a nice problem to have. It's
Yeah.
I'll happy go to a two drop reserve if I can have.
I will say
I
I'm
mean,
not going back to the tier list. We're only adding, we're never readjusting anything on that tier list. The British Challenger box stays where it stays, but
mhm.
they
I mean,
have
it's still
got,
awful.
it's still not great, but they're not disgusting anymore.
No, and I think it's almost. I was playing around with the sums. It's a lot easier now to do a challenger squadron as a formation rather than just having a platoon of challengers. It's still a little tricky to do a challenger Roma squadron, but it is just about possible as long as you don't want too much in your army.
Yeah,
So that's good, I would say.
the difference in points is roughly the same. I think they did get a
Hmm.
little bit closer in points, depending on, well,
Yeah, I think you got the challenger, the standard challenger dropping by more points. Yeah, it's dropped by 13 points, whereas the Romans
instead
dropped
of
by
10,
10.
right.
Hmm.
They've gotten closer because 3 regular challengers is 26 points, 3
Hmm.
Romars is 29. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you might have a platoon of Romars with the rest of
Hmm.
your regular challengers. So especially if you were just running regular, if you were running regular challengers, you could just change them to Romars and still have 4 points left over if you
Yeah,
were already running regular challengers. So this is definitely good. The chieftains went up, the Spartan
Mark.
blowpipes went up.
Yeah, which is
Uh,
an odd one because I mean, this
what's the firepower in a blowpipe?
four, I think, if I remember right.
Hold on, I'm forcing.
I use them semi-regularly because it always had this weird
Like
thing where
on paper, they are firepower four. Like
Mhm.
you can shoot them at tanks. I'm like they're 1812. What tanks are you shooting them at?
it's side
T80s?
armor, but it's heat. It's like
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it's a desperation move, but it's minimum range 16, so it's not even a great desperation move, frankly. Um,
right. Like look, if you're playing some weird, like somebody's bringing Fate of a Nation T-3485, sure, killer unit. Uh, but like I think the blowpipes are kind of useless. Two shots, even if it is a 4-up firepower guided AA, is just kind of meh.
they're kind
And
of handy. They're kind of handy when you're playing like a low points game and you want to have an AA system that can do something other than just be AA.
sure,
Now, the thing, so this gets back to one of my pet hates with how Team Yankees evolved, where the British effectively always had the thing where it's asymmetry. They didn't have a cannon armed AA. They had two missile based systems. And that was always their weakness compared to their strengths of being able to spam out Milans, that kind of thing.
I mean, what about the
But
chieftain marksman?
well, then they brought in the cheetah marksman because
Uh,
everything, but they didn't have this thing now where everyone must have a cannon based system, even though marksman never went past being a marketing thing that had more success. Well, the only thing I think ever sold to was Finland. Um,
yeah. And
I
they
mean,
didn't
track
even put
rate
it on the chieftain. I think they put it on the T-72 or the T-55.
55, and later they put
Yeah.
it onto the Leopard chassis, I think.
So they
But yeah,
found better tanks than the chieftain to put those systems on.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, it's kind of weird seeing blowpipe go up. It's always been a weird thing where why does it cost as much as a rapier? I know you get six of them rather than four, but yeah, I mean
I
rapier,
mean, hold on. So it's two pipes. So it's 12 shots with the blowpipes. And then let
yeah,
me just go take a look at the rapiers really
and
quick.
four of them is 12 shots. Trust me,
So it's the same number of shots,
but they go further and they're at 5.3 on a rapier.
and they have firepower 3, so they're
Hmm.
better shots.
Yeah, I mean the rapier was always not included in the British Army. I mean, arguably it still is. You just have to find you have to find more points to put
I
it
mean,
in.
the rapiers took one of the biggest hits, like going
Hmm.
up over double.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like they went up 8 points.
Hmm.
That's massive. Like even if you downgrade your existing rapier squad from 4 to 2, you're still paying an extra point to keep
Yeah.
half as many shots. Like the rapiers got hit
But
hard.
they need to be. It was always crazy. They were cheaper than the equivalent number of SA8s, and the SA8 has a two shots per target, and it's a soft skin
Yes.
vehicle.
Yes.
Whereas a rapier is armored, not armor zero, but armor zero is still armored. Rate of fire 3, slightly less range, but only just.
Yeah.
It was yeah. The rapier needed to go up.
Uh
Probably that's a bigger increase. I thought double was fine, but yeah.
yeah, I think double would have been a little more manageable, but
Mhm.
either way, overall I think pretty good for British players. I mean, hey, look, you can actually bring challengers now.
Mhm.
So anything else you want to talk about? Should we move on to the West Germans?
Let's go West Germans. Yeah, just
All
quickly do
right.
West Germans.
Uh good news, West German players, 2s and 2A5s have gone down pretty drastically.
Yeah, especially two A5s.
The 2A5s got a big old cost reduction. I mean, again, I mostly see these kinds of things being run in threes when it comes to NATO. I don't see people normally jumping in for the fours, but going from 51 points for 3 2A5s to 35 points, a big old 16-point savings is huge.
Hmm.
It's gone from half your list to a third of your list.
Yeah. I mean, I used to when I had West Germans, I generally ran a platoon of four Leopard 2A4s. At 44 points, it was a one drop reserve, which is always handy. But yeah, but It's a big chunk of your army list, as you said
Yeah, and
earlier.
now you can change them to 2A5s and only spend 2 extra points.
Yeah.
So again, the way they've done this is you can bring better equipment or more equipment without drastically changing your points too much.
Hey Nathan, you got an excuse to pay up your Christmas present now. I want to see them on the table. Your Marder twos that broke their meta in the barn.
And then standard Leopard 2s are also just dramatically. Oh, I don't want to say dramatically, but they've gotten also cheaper. So
I
I
mean,
still don't know. I think if when it comes to formations, people will run Leopard 2 formations now. But I think if you're
yeah.
bringing just a platoon of tanks, now you're bringing more 2A5s for less points.
Traditionally, with West Germans, you used to you generally run a Marder formation. You have your HQ and Marder platoon, a Leopard platoon, the second compulsory choice, and then maybe a second Marder platoon.
Right, but we might see the West German version of the armored cav showing up more often now, where you get to mix the Leopard 2s and the infantry and that other stuff, because
Yeah.
now the Leopard 2s and the 2A5s aren't list cripplingly expensive now.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a thing about a Leopard 2 formation, two tanks in the HQ, 17 points. Your compulsory platoon, 34 points for four. And then you put a Marder in the second box, and then you fill it out with Jaguar 1 anti-tank missiles,
Yeah.
Gepards. I mean, Gepards,
Well,
they've
Gepards
taken a
took a
hit.
hit.
Not
I
not a
mean, but
bad
rightfully
hit.
so.
Yeah.
Gepards deserve to take a hit. They didn't take
Is it?
that big a hit. They did not
No,
take a rapier level of hit.
no.
Uh,
I mean, they're still to me an auto include as they were before.
yeah,
Even at 14
Gepards are
points.
nightmare fuel.
Hmm.
The Fliegerfaust have gone up, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. The Fliegerfaust are kind of trash, but they didn't go up too badly. I mean,
No,
half a point per roughly is pretty fine.
the figure fights are always a kind of handy thing to add in because you got, they're basically attachments to Gepards. They're relatively cheap. You just take them, put them on an objective, just guarding it.
Well, I mean,
They're
there's
weirdly
no
good in
lucky card
assault.
to soak up points, so
Exactly.
having
Um,
cheap AA to throw in instead is pretty useful.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, the
the
Roland
the
is
Rolands
about.
took a tracked rapier level of hits here. This is
I mean, my days had never taken my Rolands at the figure case. Had definitely come to a middle. It's they weren't they never felt great for their points to start off with, and now double the points. I still don't think they
well,
were
it's
worse.
not that I don't think that the Rolands were bad for their points. I think they were just dramatically overshadowed by the Gepards.
And you just don't have the spare points of West German list to fit them in basically.
Right, but like you used to be able to get 6 Roland 2s for the cost of 4 Gepards,
Hmm.
which means you had way more AA potential, but then you didn't have the Gepards roll across and just start annihilating BTRs and BMPs and Bradleys and Martin. Like they didn't have the IFV murdering potential.
Hmm.
But you could make the argument of like, well, so and so mostly brings infantry, this, that, like, I don't want to, I don't think I need Gepards. Like, okay.
I mean, I
But now
Gepards versus a BTR
there's
swarm is always a fun.
they're real close in points now. So this it's not even a conversation anymore because you used to get more for less,
Yeah.
but now it's actually just less for less because six
Hmm.
Gepards is now 21 points. 6 Rolands is now 20 points.
Hmm.
So there's not the thing of like, well, I get more AA if I use Rolands. Like, no, I'll save a single point and not be able to have the dual purpose cannon. And it doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. Like,
And Roland's only rate of fire two. They are it's a decent missile. I think it's firepower three in the missile. Might be
uh,
firepower four. Cool. Like I say, I think I've used them in precisely one game. Because I had them since literally version one Team Yankees.
3 shots, firepower 4,
Okay. So actually, it's better.
66
So
range. So, we're looking at basically another tracked rapier
mhm.
situation, but like, there's still no place for them. This is a place where they like, if they had been a little less heavy handed on the Roland nerf, uh, we could have seen a world where people were like, well, the Gepards have gone up so much and AA has gone up so much, but like the Rolands didn't get hit too bad. I might run Rolands now. Like, no, they've stomped out every possible choice to run Rolands for. I mean, 2 Rolands is the exact same price as 2 Gepards. If you're looking for budget AA, I'd rather have the Gepards.
Hmm.
because they'll do stuff.
And they look
Uh,
cooler. Let's
they
let's
do
not
look
let's not be around the
cooler.
bush. Gepards just look cooler.
Gepards are cool. Big auto cannons are cool.
Hmm.
All right, like as
Fortunately,
fellow
Mark's
BattleTech enjoyers, I think we all agree that autocannons are cool as shit.
yep. Federated Sons for life, man. All about that house Davy Norton can love. It's a meme for a reason. Okay.
So again, overall, I think we'll see more variety in West Germans. I
Mhm.
hope.
Yeah. Canadians. I think it's just. I think obviously their leopard's gone
The
down.
leopards have gone
ADATs.
down. The blowpipes have gone up because, of course, they did.
They're British. Yeah.
Yes, and then the ADATs have also gone up, but not cripplingly. They got the standard 50% nerf.
Yeah. I mean, I could still. I mean, Eddie took 4 for 10. I think he'll still take 4 for 15.
I mean, if
And
you're
still,
running Leopard 2 Canadians, then you've still come out with a point decrease, which is I
yeah.
know I keep hammering this point home, but like there's a lot of people running around like the sky is falling because AA has gone up, and I'm like, you can still make lists around it. Like this punishes people who are running hordes of garbage, which is smart
Hmm.
because the standard the predator of hordes of garbage is helicopters and airstrikes, and
Yeah.
they've made the defense for those things more expensive while bringing down the price of main battle of Gen 3 MBTs. So I see what Battlefront has tried to do. I think there are a few points where the execution doesn't feel correct, and until I get more games in with the new points, I won't know for sure. But I see what they're doing, and it's a
And
good
that's always,
change.
yeah.
We need to move
That,
away from the T55 and T62 and BTR 60 hordes of trash. The
yeah.
you know 10 billion French clown cars and leaf blowers. As much as I love the French clown cars, I think it it ranked
I
very
hate them.
highly on our stupid wheeled vehicles of Team Yankee list. I love the
Hmm.
French clown cars. I don't like playing against the French clown cars because they bring
It's
a shit ton
painful.
of helicopters.
Yeah.
Uh, and the Mirage is a problem.
Hmm.
Speaking of French clown cars, uh,
Yeah.
the
That's
Vabs got a nerf or got a buff. They went down a few points. I wasn't expecting the Vabs to
yeah, because
the Mephistos anyway.
it's like they're always. I think most people liked them as they were. I mean, I was kind of surprised they went down. Maybe not. Maybe they're not seeing as much as they should be, but I still think the Hot 2 is a pointless upgrade because the Hot hits more than hard enough at 23, 8 23.
Yeah, jumping to 24 is kind of a big whatever.
Yeah.
But more importantly, vice champion of the world, Charles Leclerc tanks have gone down to a place where you can actually run them now.
Yes, very much
12
like
points a tank is actually for these absolute
for how good
monsters
they are.
for
Yes,
how
it's
good they are. I'm sorry for people who don't pay attention to uh how gross a Leclerc tank is. Front armor 22, AT 23, 2+ cross, 2 up firepower,
range
like
48.
range 48,
I'm sorry, which
two
tank holds it?
stationary, two move.
Which
Like
tank holds the record for the longest tank kill? Oh, the Challenger. What's that? Range 40. But I mean, it is. I mean, to be fair to Leclerc, it is a long barrel. It's a 52 caliber. If we ever get Leopard 2 A6s, I expect they'll be the same sort of thing.
yeah, but like the Leclerc is purely on stats one of the best tanks in Team Yankee, and
Easily.
4 of them used to cost you 3/4 of your list. Now they only cost you half your list.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see. You know, I don't know if you're gonna run a Leclerc formation, but people should be bringing them as 1 drops now.
Hmm.
3
I,
Leclercs for 36 points is pretty spicy.
I mean, I see at their Tabletop Republic tournaments, there's a guy coming up who was running like a pair of them as a 1 drop reserve, which when they're morale 5+, always feels like a real it's a gamble.
Yeah,
But now you can,
congratulations. That guy gets to bring 3 of them and not change
yeah,
his list at all, unless he brings
exactly.
AA. But
Hmm. Yeah, like say AA. I mean, the Roland we discussed. It feels. I mean, in the French list, you have less options. Apart from you have the Mistral, which is only just come into the game now, goes up in points straight away.
uh,
But The Mistral's a pretty good little system. But AMX, again, it just feels like it wasn't great before. It's
No,
not great now.
the
It's
only thing
like
it had going for it was that it was in formation, if I remember right. It's in
somebody has it
the
in formation.
I
You're
want to
right.
say it's in the clown car formation.
Nah,
No,
that's it
a Fab company.
might be the infantry. No, somebody's got it. You're right. I can't think
It's
who
this.
though.
No,
Maybe they haven't been. Maybe it's not in formation.
it has to be. Oh no, there it is. It is just regular formation support. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, 87, 5 of firepower, 3-5. Like it's got less shots than all of its contemporaries. The fact that it was 4 points for three of them is kind of what saved it. But like now it's 6 points. It's still
Yeah,
one of your cheapest options, but
but in terms of points effectiveness, I think I'd rather go
not
for the
very good.
Mistrals.
Uh, probably. What's the firepower on a Mistral?
4, I think. Maybe 3. 4. There you
They're
go.
four, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know the downside of the Mistral is you have to bring Rolands.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Mixed doesn't have them. It's just yeah. Sorry, rodent. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you didn't want it was always it's still going to be your budget option because to
It
bring the
is. Yeah.
Mistrals you
Actually,
need to
yeah.
bring the Rolands.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other, and it's not like you can
Hmm.
spend two Rolands and get four Mistrals. It's you're capped to however many of one you have is the other you can have.
Yeah. So yeah, I
So
mean, it's good for. I think that's a good hit for the French. I mean, they always struggle having had a rubbish tank and then finally get a good tank, but never take it. I think it's they definitely benefit from the new points dynamic.
well, the French forgot to build a Gen 2 tank. I'm sorry, the French never built a Gen 2 tank. The AMX 30 was basically on par with Gen 1 tanks, the T55 and the T62 and the Leopard
Mhm.
ones. If faster but less armored, but that was French doctrine. And then they
Yeah.
went straight to the Leclerc. Now, okay, look, there's the version of the AMX 30 where they put a bunch of what armor did they put on? Chabram,
Era,
Era.
era armor. Yep. They're yeah. What went
They
to the
put
Gulf
Era
War?
on it, and they said it's better now, and that was true, but it didn't line up to T72s and T64s and M1s.
Hmm.
So
No.
the Leclerc's coming down is desperately needed because now the French players can actually bring tanks that will not crumble into paper immediately.
But
I
the gunslinger should be on here, and it should be so
We could
red.
have left
It's
the hot
unbelievable.
gazelles alone. The
Hug cells
gunslinger
fine. Yep.
gazelle should have gone up.
Yep. They're
Uh,
far too good.
all right, moving on to the Dutch.
Yep. So Leopard 2s and Leopard
Right.
2A5s have gone
So a
down.
thing I wanted to point out just really quickly is on the document that Battlefront put out, they put an option for two Leopard 2A5s in your HQ.
Mm-hmm.
But in forces, there is no option to have more. There is no option for two Leopard 2A5s.
Ooh. So is that deliberate, or is it like say
Well,
new?
that's
Is
why
that
you can see my
yeah?
note. This is a new option? Is this a new
Because
option or is
Leopard,
this a copy paste mistake?
yeah, because Leopard
Because the
2
West
hasn't
Germans
gained
can
it.
have 2A5, two 2A5s.
Hmm.
So I'm leaning towards this is a copy paste mistake because I fixed it in the
Yeah.
spreadsheet. But if you look at the document, there's multiple parts where the Gaskin is called the Gopher in those changes for the Soviets in the Warsaw Pact. So I think
Classic
I
Battlefront.
think this is a copy paste mistake.
I
And
think so. The
our
fact
Dutch
for Leopard,
friends who are like, I'm gonna cram in an extra Leopard 2A5 HQ when the Leopard 2 only has a single option.
I
That's
agree.
what I think that it's a copy paste.
Yeah.
But the cheap Leopard 2 option has gotten cheaper.
Hmm.
The cheap Leopard 2, like if you were playing Dutch because you wanted to play all that West German stuff cheaper, congratulations, you can bring more stuff now.
And your cheap Gepards are still relatively cheap.
Yeah,
And more
no, they didn't take a hit on Gepards.
the Pertle is basically the
Oh,
Gepard.
that is their Gepard. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Hmm.
so they didn't get hit nearly as bad. Their Stingers also didn't get hit nearly as bad as other Stinger teams.
Hmm. And it's compensated more than enough by tanks coming down. So
Yes.
well done, Dutch.
So Dutch big winners in this, I think.
Hmm.
Uh,
Anzacs.
the Anzacs. So M1A1s went down. Congratulations, Anzacs. The cheaper M1A1s have gotten cheaper. Your garbage AA went up, but not by much. I mean, nobody brings red eyes. Red eyes are hot trash. Everyone brought
RBS
RBSs.
70s.
Yeah.
They're decent. They're decent.
So you are going to
Um,
take a hit, but the decrease in your M1A1s covers that. So congratulations, Anzacs. You're also big winners here.
yeah,
Uh, the rest of the Anzac stuff doesn't fit the scope of what they were trying to do. So
correct. So it's mostly all the rest of it is like 1970s leftovers. So it's going to be,
yeah,
it's all stays so where
it's
it
already
is.
cheap enough.
Hmm.
So the Belgians, congratulations, you're the big loser. You only took nerfs. Your Gepards went up.
Well, to be fair, the challenges, allied challenges they can have would have gotten cheaper. But yes, the actual
Sure,
Belgian kit.
but if you're like, I don't want the dirty Brits. I want to play my beloved waffle making Belgians. You kind of ate it there.
Yeah.
The Finns, uh, the T-72s went down.
Hmm.
The marksmen, the Shulkas, and the Grails all went up. Uh,
Yep.
they included that the HQs were staying the same, so I was just like, why bother putting it on the list of points changes when it didn't change at all?
But it's interesting that their T72M has gone down. I don't think anyone else's T72M went down, did it?
Uh, no one else's T-72Ms went down. The
So they
regular
don't,
Soviet T-72s go down.
yeah, the
Uh,
T72As, but yeah,
yeah.
the T72Ms. So that's interesting that theirs went down because it was obviously I thought they were probably a little bit too expensive, but
I think they're technically a little better than standard
oh, they are. But they got range
T-72s.
four. They got range 40 and
Yeah.
kind of.
I forget what the difference between the M1 and the M2 are.
So the FM1 is the
Oh,
standard. It's basically a
yeah.
T72M. Yeah.
Bazooka skirts and era, yeah.
Hmm.
But like they have the AT-22 gun.
They do have the T22. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, uh you
I
can
don't, not gonna
barely
complain.
bring T-72s because like let's just take a quick look at a finish. 3, 6, 9, 10, 10.
Hmm.
You can bring 10 T-72s. Like, okay, fine. The cost has gone down for them. Here's room
Yeah.
for infantry or another formation and stuff. Like, okay, fine. Uh, but also they didn't go down that much. Like, 2, 3 points. It mostly. I don't think Finnish players are going to see that big a change if you're running
No.
tanks and not infantry because your tanks went down, your anti-air went up.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
Swedes.
just anti-aircraft. Yeah.
Congratulations. You just also just ate a nerf. Your weird anti-air missile platoon went up a few points.
And still no better anti-tank missiles.
Nope. The Norwegians also just eat shit here. The Danish really like their only AA is red eyes, and they just had to eat it. Like being forced to pay more points for garbage it's rough. Uh
Yeah, I don't think those firepower 5 missile systems need to go up.
no, I think those firepower 5 systems were fine because they were mostly ineffective.
I mean, it was, yeah, once the blue moon, you actually kill a hind and you celebrate. But
Yeah, but it's
it's,
like, okay, I'm gonna roll the hit. You're gonna roll your helicopter save, and then I need to roll a 5 up after that. Like the dice don't work out that way.
mhm.
Not with the number of shots you're getting on the firepower 5 systems. They're kind of crap.
Yeah, I think this is why the hind went up in points because it just sort of equalizes with these increases. But yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
So
Yeah.
rip Nordic Forces players. I'm sorry, Battlefront doesn't like you very much.
Apart from
Uh,
the Finns did well.
no, the Finns got like a slight nerfs or slight
Yeah,
buffs to their expensive tanks, but their tanks weren't that expensive to begin with. Israelis, the Merkavas have calmed down.
they're still
You know,
drunk.
they're still kind of junk, but at least now you can,
Hmm.
it mostly offsets all your AA also going up. Uh, yeah, I think this is.
Neutral. I'd say it's a very
I
neutral
think
change.
I mean, if you're running whole tank companies, this is a slight buff
Hmm.
because you'll save points in the long run. If you're running mostly infantry formations This is kind of a nerf because your AA is going up and you're not getting any point decreases to offset.
Yeah.
Iraqis, congratulations, you're also eating shit because all your AA has gone up and your Heinz have gone up.
But the bright side, your
Iraqi
gazelles
Heinz,
are still the same.
Yeah, you know, your gazelles still. I forgot about Iraqi leaf blowers. Oh my god, yeah.
It is a thing because you can have 2 helicopter units and an AA unit. It's not the greatest leaf blower, but it is possible.
No, but couple that with the really good artillery, the
Mhm.
auto-loading French artillery,
Yeah, that's true.
and like Iraqis were I think low key a very good faction list country, whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
But overall, it's just a bad day for Iraqi players. You can go cry with the Nords.
Mike going for
Iran,
his Sergeant Slaughter phase there, saying Iraqi wasn't okay.
yeah. Iran, you can join Iraq and the Nords crying about it.
Mhm.
Shulkas and
I ran so far away.
yeah. Okay. And now we're getting into
Da
it because
da
this.
da 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 da.
Okay. Huge, huge point discounts on T80s. T80s are 6 points a tank now.
Mhm.
This is massive.
Some might actually survive on the
Unbridled
Milan 4s. On Milan 2s.
Soviet power. Uh, the true winners, the Soviet. You can't see the shirt, but look it up on the store. Breakthrough Assault. Anyway, T80s going down big time.
Mhm.
6 points a tank is massive. T72Bs, decent point cut. I mean, they were already.
They are, but the problem you got is the T64 BV is
I
cheaper.
mean, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get
Yeah.
there. But the regular T72s have also come down a touch. So maybe we'll see T72As as an alternative to. I want to see how they stack up compared to T62s. I
I
don't
think
think they've come down enough to
no, I think
compare
the
them to
problem they got is
T62s.
the T64 is still only just slightly more expensive and it's
No,
a
not the
better tank.
64, the 62.
Oh, 62. Okay. Yeah. I think they're still in a
Because
weird spot where if you want to go for the higher end tank, you go for a T64.
yeah, the T64 BV is cheaper than the T72B. It got bigger
Why?
points cuts. It's just better. Really,
But
if you're a
why? Because
Soviet
it's better
player,
already.
you should be looking at T64 BVs or T80s.
Hmm. Or
T80s are,
T62s.
I mean, yes, or T62s. I love
Hmm.
T62s. That is me, the king of. I have brought 20 something T62s across 3 platoons or 3 companies in my battalion. What are you going to do
Hmm.
about it? I'll roll enough sixes to the point where I will kill an M1 Abrams.
I still wonder if the T64 BV is the sweet spot for the Soviets. I like T80s, but they're still quite expensive. And
They are
The
quite expensive.
T64 does almost everything the T80 does.
T64 BV, 5 of them is 24 points. 5 for 30 points for the
You
Soviets.
get
So
5
I'm
T64s for 4 T80s. So that one extra shot counts.
yeah, and the armor gap is not that big.
2,
So
18 versus 20. Yeah. Same side armor.
same side armor. It
Both advanced
depends on how aggressive
stabilizers.
you want to play with them, I guess.
Hmm. Both era.
The T80 shock have come down.
Yeah, which makes
Shocking.
sense.
I
Yep.
mean, it makes sense, but also like I didn't think they would touch those because they're weird faux NATO counterparts. But they've come down to 7 points a tank. So
Hmm.
now it's actually kind of a conversation where like, yeah, I'm only paying 1 more point a tank and I get NATO stats. If I was only running a few of them, I can kind of see it now.
Yeah.
Uh, Now we get to the sad parts. Gaskins, why? Tunguska's, please fix Phil. Shulka's, Geckos, the garbage BTRs, they've all
Yeah.
gone up. The Heinz have gone up across the board.
The Shulkers and the Gophers, I get. The Geckos, I can't get because they're also high answer. But the Tunguskas and
The BTRs and the
the
Gaskins is
Gaskins,
just a
it
big old
just
why. Like,
yeah,
look, the Tunguska went
it
up
needs some
50%. This
love.
one's standard. But like the Gaskins and the BTRs, like why? They're still dirt cheap.
Hmm.
Like if you're just throwing in, if you have 5 points left over, you're still gonna just throw them in.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing a VDV list, still damn near essential
Oh,
to
right, because you don't
complement the.
have a lot of AA options
It
in
complements the man
formation.
pads basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
You know what?
That's interesting.
The man pads
Pads haven't been
haven't gone up.
nerfed.
I think it's because Battlefront didn't want to go, okay, so inside the infantry, if you buy it's 2 points of
Yeah.
grail instead of 1 point of grail now. Like, people don't run the man pads anyway.
Don't they?
I don't see people running the man pads.
Okay. That's always handy.
Um,
Just get the extra BMP a lot of the time.
sure, that's why I see people run the man pads, but it's also a point, and when
Hmm.
it's like, okay, do I want to put that 1 point in a BMP and a man pad, or do I want to put that point in
2 Gaskins. Yeah.
2 Gaskins? Like,
Hmm.
because even if your opponent doesn't bring any air, you just the Gaskins in formation, you stick them in the back near a point and go, ooh, I'm something you have to actually spend dice towards to get rid
Hmm.
of if you want to take this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same thing. Heinz unfairly oppressed. Uh,
Yep.
Bad AA unfairly oppressed. But overall, if you're T80 Soviets, if you're T64 Soviets, you're eating good. Even if
Hmm.
you're one of those weirdo T72 Soviets, you're eating good. Uh,
I mean,
the
it's an
the
improvement.
the points decreases far outweigh these point increases on the
Yeah.
Soviet side, especially if you're big tank lover.
If you're running
Uh,
BTR spam, then frankly you deserve it.
yes. Let's take a look at the Warsaw Pact. So we got the East Germans.
Yep.
Congratulations, the T72Bs have gone down. This is good for me. I run a T72 battalion,
Hmm.
where I run 2 squads of Bs, and I have a company of Ms to give me a little bit more shots. But like,
Same here. Yep.
I'm saving a few points here and there. It offsets the increase in my AA, and I think it kind of comes out in the wash if you are a T72B player.
Yeah.
Obviously only the T72Bs, not the T72Ms. Like well, I understand the Soviets don't have T72Ms; they have T72As, but still, the Soviets base T72 went down, and the Warsaw Pact ones stayed the same.
I think it's because the A's obviously had the BDD armor and the slightly better anti-tank, whereas the M's are anti-tank 21 and only bazooka skirts. So to be fair, the T62M's always felt like it's in the sweet spot of points, whereas the T70A has always been a bit awkward in its points compared to all its other options. So
Well, I mean,
I
even still now with the readjustment, there's no reason to ever run T72 anything as the Soviets. There are better options.
yeah,
There just are.
yeah. Which makes sense. The T72 is always meant to be the cheap, horrible tank you had to bulk out, whereas the T64s and T80s were what your shock units had.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's all the same now, isn't it? For the rest of the forces, all pretty much
The Czechs,
slightly
the
cheaper.
Pragas also went up. Throw them on the pile of why did this get more expensive? This is madness.
My rubbish manly guided 20 millimeter
Yeah,
cannons have got yeah.
like the Poles, same thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, they get quite a good discount. Yeah. So Tenham's gone down by 9 points. But we go back to the
yeah,
checks.
8 for
Yeah,
Czechs, 9 for East German. So
and nines for Poles. So yeah, so the
yeah,
checks get slightly less discount because they're already quite cheap anyway.
right. So if you run the Czechs, congratulations, you've got room to squeeze like another tank or two into your list.
Hmm.
If you're running the Poles or the East Germans, congratulations, you have more points for your support stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and then finally we have Cuba, who can join the Middle East and the Nords in crying
Hmm.
because they've only taken massive point increases. Not massive, but point increases. Again, why is the ZSU 57? Why are the Pragas? Why is anything that is not radar guided going up in points?
Because well, the 57 is pretty lethal against helicopters because you don't get the
You don't take the
the
penalty against
penalty, and
helicopters,
the
yeah.
firepower 4 is really good against helicopters. So I can see why that went up. But yeah, the Praga is just like you can't hit them for worth a toffee, and you can't even if you do hit them, you can't kill them. So why have you
Not
got
only
them?
that, but they're limited to nations that are not very good quality.
Hmm.
Like you only get them in the Czechs and the Cubans.
Yeah.
Not exactly the best stats. So it's already bad soft stats coupled with bad hard stats, and
Mhm.
now they're taking a point increase. Uh
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I say, proof is as always gonna be in the pudding. No amount of internet raging is really worth a damn. It's gonna be get these on the table and say go. I want to try the Anzacs out, the cheaper M1A1s now, and my
yeah.
Desert Brits. Um, yeah, probably right now. I'm still trying out Warfare lists. I haven't actually got time to do a Team Yankee game, but I do need to try them out. So
Yeah.
as a
So I
first
think
stab, it's not bad.
I think this is overall good for the game. I
Hmm.
think there are some places where I went, why Battlefront have you done this in accordance to the garbage AA? The garbage AA should have stayed cheap to make it a viable alternative to the expensive stuff.
Hmm.
The Tunguska has still not been fixed. I cry. Uh, why only the Heinz? Um, we've established when we talked about them, the French and the Americans can still bring quite a lot of their own air-based leaf blowers.
Yeah, which are very, even with the Soviets, are difficult to counter. I think Lexi had a good point on the Discord in that the VR upgrade really need to be a factor into this change as well, because it's what makes the BTR swarm so good. It's the fact that we're all rocking a firepower too.
Yeah.
Um,
The So I think that this is overall a good change for the health of the game. I don't know if it's enough change, but I think
mhm.
that Battlefront clearly stated their objectives, which is, we want to encourage more aircraft by nerfing AA, and we want to encourage more Gen 3 tanks by lowering their costs.
Yeah, mission
And
accomplished.
then and then there were a few things in there that also got swept up, which were weird, like the Heinz
Hmm.
and
Mephisto's like
the
no,
Mephistos. Yeah,
no one was asking for it. I don't think any French player is going to
nobody was
complain.
like, I need cheaper ATGMs. I don't think so. You've got a shit ton of them, but
Mhm.
and the Hots are better than Milans. Like it's just weird that the Vab Mephistos went down so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure what problem that's trying to fix, but
I do
they're
not
pretty
know.
good. But they've got better. It's like, but yeah,
Like
okay.
again, if you're running the clown cars, this is great for you because like my only real Gen 3 killers are here. Well, not really, because if you're running the clown cars and you're running a French leaf blower, so you have the Mirages and the Gazelles. I don't know.
Hmm.
Uh, but overall, I think it's good. I know I've said this multiple times. I just keep losing my train of thought here. Uh, I think these are good changes. I don't think these are enough changes, but it makes me. I think this is a better first stab than mid-war dynamic points first go was.
Yeah, yeah. The KV1 massacre. Yep.
Yeah, well,
Why KV1 so cheap and everywhere now?
I I
There's
do not
nothing.
know.
There's nothing leaping out to me as being the big, getting to that point where it's going to break the game by appearing so much. I mean, I think we'll see a lot more Leclercs, but that's not. But they're still pretty expensive.
The Leclercs are still pretty expensive.
Mhm.
I think we'll finally see more M1A1s
Yeah.
from Americans and people who can bring them as allies and Anzacs. But I think
Good day,
like
mate.
yeah, I think like the big winners are the Soviets and the French in this
Hmm.
because like Soviet good tanks went down a lot. T80's got a huge price decrease.
Yeah.
6 points of T80 is insane.
I really want to get T80s on the tabletop now, I must admit.
Yeah. Leclerc's being runnable levels. Uh,
Hmm.
M1A1, M1A1s. Crap. This is why it's a little. You know, all versions of the M1 going down is
Hmm.
good. M1A1's probably arguably that sweet spot of price to effectiveness now, which
Yeah.
I think is good and cool. Run the fun stuff. The AA stuff, whatever.
I do like the idea of taking a US armored cavalry force with a HQ M1A1HC a platoon of M1A1s and just the HQ lurking near the M1 M1. So it tanks a shot every so often. That's it.
Yeah. And, the West Germans, I think we also called the Dutch big winners because they already had
Yeah.
cheap versions that got cheaper. But like, there's a lot of people who came out pretty good, and there's a lot of unfortunate people who ate shit because
Hmm.
all they got were the AA nerfs and none of the buffs to offset that stuff. They are more hordy countries, but like, still, I don't know. I don't think you can take any more points away from the S tank. Nobody runs it anyway because it's bad. It's not expensive. It's just a bad tank.
Yeah, it's hard to love it. I know Duncan does, but all right. So yeah. So obviously, as if you've been playing with these, put a comment down in the comments. Let us know how it's going. What you think the changes are. And we'll see what comes out the first iteration that actually come through based on the feedback and actually issue the final points for this year. Be interesting to see
Yeah.
what changes.
But my initial gut reaction, I'm just pulling this out of my butt, is armored cav lists for Americans and the West German counterparts are going to get way better because you can bring better tanks now,
Hmm.
and you can bring them in weird enough factions that you can mix all your infantry and all your support stuff in just fine. The Soviets are gonna just keep running. I think we'll see. I don't know if this is enough to offset the BTR horde insanists, but for people who play normal games, I think we'll see more better tanks, which is
Yeah.
what everyone wants. We want to play with the new shiny toys, and I want to, as a Soviet and Warsaw Pact player, I want to run them in numbers where I get to go, mwahaha. Yes, you have killed 3 T80s. I have 17 more. What will you do?
Yep. Absolutely. I think it will accomplish that in, like I say, the barn games as well. We get onto another Team Yankee run, as it were.
Oh, I feel bad because I'm sure Mike's going to make you play test all his Red Storm Rising scenarios.
Well, that's not you said it because it's a bad thing. I'm looking forward to that. So,
All right,
but yeah,
so shall we move on to the leaks, or do you want to
yeah.
talk about sprues?
Well, we'll do it both at the same time. So,
Okay.
I mean, we've already known about the Soviet sprues since Pete's video. I think he showed an early render of the Soviet sprues.
Yeah.
Since then, they got shown off at one of the shows. What we've finally seen now is the American sprues.
Yes. So, just to be clear, these are leaks. Battlefront has not announced anything. This is Firestorm Games putting up stuff for pre-orders.
On the pre,
So,
yeah, sorry, yes, yeah, on that bit, yeah. The actual
so
sprue pictures were announced by Battlefront. They
yes,
were
the
on their
sprue
Twitter.
pictures were off from Battlefront
Hmm.
for the most part. We have, nice pictures like these
Yeah.
where,
So this is a special weapon sprue, the Marines
well,
and
these are the
82nd Airborne.
Marines, right? So you've got,
You got
guys with
smalls.
M16, some
Yep.
M60s, the saws,
The smalls.
laws. Where are the smalls? I don't see.
Up that top row, the guy that what looks like a really big law. Go right, that's it. That's it. Small there.
Oh, it's just labeled as AT. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
For some
don't.
reason, it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. I figured they would have actually wrote small, not to convict mix it up with like the
Yeah.
laws.
And you get a few extra M16 and small guns there, which obviously helps fill out the
Yeah,
bigger infantry platoons.
there's a
Mortar
mortarman right there too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where's the tube? Where's the mortar tube
The
itself? Must be on
looks like the
somewhere. Oh
tube's
yeah,
right
he's holding
there.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This, of course, it's the light mortar, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not sure if there's different poses for the M16s and the saw. I'm going to have to look it up later if they're different. But
And then you've got they've shown off the mech infantry. This
yeah,
is for your standard army. Here's your dragons.
yeah. So I
More
imagine
laws.
a Bradley platoon will have 3 of these sprues, and that'll give you, or 4 of these sprues. No, probably 3 actually. 3 of these
Mhm.
sprues will give you 3 dragons and enough figures for 4 saw teams, which is the standard
So I've
configuration for
just
a
noticed
Bradley.
something interesting. If you look at the bottom right guy here,
Yeah.
I don't see a head on this guy.
No, so that pairs up with the guy. If you look on the far left of the sprue, he's basically the second half of that guy.
Of this
Uh,
guy?
yeah, you see, they got one
Oh,
leg.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I
because
see it
remember
now.
when you fire a dragon, you fire it in that weird sitting position they had for some
Okay. Yeah.
reason.
So this is just two halves of one guy. Okay.
Yeah, Milan
For whatever
team, you're
reason, I didn't
prone. All the
register that there was no base
yeah,
here, and Yeah.
And
Anyway,
Milan, you fire prone, so you're nice and low to the ground for return fire. Dragon team are just sitting there.
no.
Like,
What? No, that cover is for cowards. And then obviously we have the old
yeah.
Soviet stuff that has long since leaked, like shortly after Pete's video.
Mhm.
You know, RPGs, AKs,
And PKMs and one sprue. I mean, always
PKMs. Uh, then
I
the
mean, there's
other one that has, you know, the grenade launchers, the gremlins,
the
the
spigots.
spigots.
Yeah.
So I think
So
these
basically,
new sprues are good and cool and good for the game. I think this is an interesting setup here where they, you know, they've got clearly the base that you're gonna, you know, put some sitting guys on. I think,
yes, yeah,
or
because yeah,
are these kneeling guys with the grenade launchers, and you'll pop them on here and they'll fit better instead of
hmm
the weapon being its own individual puck and then the guy on a puck. So I think this is clever.
yeah. Interesting how it works in reality, but yeah, it looks promising.
Mm-hmm.
I still kind of wish they had some dedicated loader figures carrying spare missiles for their spigots and or the gaskins, but not gaskins.
Grail.
Yeah, grails. But yeah, I like them. Looks good. Looks promising.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, get some in my hands soon to have a look at.
Oh, so
So,
these are the grenade launcher ones, and then these are the spigot ones. Okay, so
spigots.
there are.
Yeah.
All right,
And yes,
so
that's weird. You think how could the Soviets were a standardized thing? You think they have a common tripod, but yeah, so obviously for once that didn't happen.
so
Yes.
taking a look at what Firestorm has told us and is put up for pre-order.
Mhm.
You've got the Soviet motor rifle platoon with 40 guys. I think. Did we look at this? I don't think we crunched the numbers on this guy
No, but
actually.
I'm going to bet based on what your Metal Fit version of that was, that'll literally be the four AK teams, the three RPG teams. So four times four is 16, three RPGs, there's another
That's
12.
20.
I don't know, so maybe there's 40
2040.
figures.
Maybe it's got all the bells and whistles, which would be weird.
Ah, the upgrade, yeah, they're probably well, not weird because obviously if you go back to the Soviet Force thing, you could have the grenade launcher, the Gremlin, and the RPG.
Well,
And
the RPGs are just
yeah,
upgrading to VR, so
sorry,
this is
yeah, and you'll
another
have
6.
so by the
Oh,
actual
and then
figure
if you're doing the
count,
BTRs, then there's the Spigot team. So yeah, I think
yeah. So by figure count, it's probably correct. You know, you wouldn't necessarily use all the figures in that blister for it, but yes, I think that's
yes,
obviously a minimum strength one.
right.
And then you have the full size one.
Yeah, 100. We did the math on this before the show. This is
Yes.
literally everything. Like it's the full size.
Mhm.
It's got all the spigots. It's got, well, we did math on how many guys to a base to figure this out. Obviously, we haven't seen the full sprues, but or how many sprues will come in a box. But by our math, it
Mhm.
should be a full size BMP or BTR company.
Yeah. So three
All of
platoons and a HQ. Yeah.
right, all the stands, all the
PKM section.
gremlins, the PKMs, the grenade launchers, and the grails
Mhm.
or the gremlins, whichever way you want to call that.
Grails. The Grails. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
So yeah.
so I don't know if you. I think you can still break them down. Maybe if it's BTR, you can break them down into two smalls. I don't know if you have
You
enough
could break it.
PKMs to go around to do it for the BMPs.
So if you have small platoons, you don't get the PKMs. If you have medium
Oh yes,
platoons,
yes.
sorry, medium companies, you get the PKMs. It's
Right,
only
right,
the
right.
medium
Yeah.
and the large you get the PKM section. Don't know
Right.
why.
So it's enough to break down into two small. So it's a very cost effective
Yeah.
way of bulking out your forces. We have
Yeah.
the American mech platoons, which should be no,
So
that's the
that'd be
Marines.
basically
Guys,
three of those brews. Yeah.
right? And that
So
should
if you're
be
doing
more than
Brad's,
plenty for Bradley's or M113 platoons.
correct.
Uh, and then we've
And
got the American.
one thing I think with the M113 mechanized platoon, I think you get the option of a fourth dragon. Just go to
Uh,
the forces for a second. I'm pretty sure if you look at the US, I know the Bradleys don't, but I'm pretty sure if you look at the M113, scroll down, M113 mech platoon.
I'm gonna bring in the Bradleys real quick.
So Brad's
So
just
you
have,
can. So the mech platoon can get an extra dragon.
yeah,
The Bradleys can't.
but they have a tow missile in their vehicle. So hey, so I'm
Yeah.
curious if there is force brews in there. So you do have the possibility of the dragon for the M1, the fourth dragon for the M113 platoon.
So the dragons are what, two guys that stand, right?
Yep.
So 4 times 4, 12,
Mhm. 4
20,
times.
or
Yeah.
18, 20,
How many figures it send on the fire?
20, and then 22.
Yeah, plus a HQ, a 2-stand HQ for another 2 points. So how many figures does it say on the actual forces? Sorry, Firestorm?
30.
30. You probably got some spare figures of the extra sprue in there you're probably not going to use anyway.
Right. So, but it should be enough to run both Bradley and mech versions, or
Yeah,
Bradley and 113 versions of the mech infantry.
yeah,
And then we have the American Rifle Platoon Marines
yeah.
in
But it's 80
parentheses.
second. Yep. But yeah,
Uh,
that's a bigger platoons. I think they have
what?
like
The Hueys. Yeah.
8 second. Yeah.
It's 7 saws. A dragon. Ugh. A
But you
single
get add
dragon
a,
is
you
a little.
get add a second. You get add a second one
Sure,
and
but
2 M60s and a mortar. Whereas the
right.
Marines are, I think, are 9 saw teams or maybe even 10 saw teams.
9,
Yeah.
and then
And
you
the
can,
option of swapping 2 out for M60s.
yeah, and then you can bring a couple of dragons, a mortar, some small teams.
The smalls are an auto include. Never leave home at the smalls.
Yes. So I think this should be enough for a big version. I think it's only
Yeah.
just one though, if I'm doing this math correctly, because
It is just one platoon. Yeah.
we're looking at 36 plus change. Yeah.
Hmm.
So both the American options are good for a single platoon. You can kind of play games with the Soviet ones if you're running minimum size stuff.
I suspect you'll be able to do a mech platoon out of the rifle platoon, but obviously you can't do vice versa.
I
But
don't know if you'll have enough dragons in the rifle platoon actually.
if you get 3 infantry sprues in there, which I think you must do, then you would. But yeah, it depends how you pack it in. But
Yeah,
either way,
so
yeah, you have a
one way or
dedicated
the other.
box for doing it. So yeah.
Yeah.
But then we get to starters. Like I say, the starters are intriguing me.
Right. So there's 4 starters.
Yeah.
Let's do the 2-player with the actual picture
Hmm.
last.
Oh yeah,
Let's rampantly
we
speculate.
speculated this. Yeah, we speculated with the previous one, didn't we? What we thought might be in there.
Right.
I
And
think,
now Battlefront has told us, and
yeah,
we were kind of close. I
yeah, we
feel
did
like
say
we
they'd
were.
probably do a weird illegal formation, just have a bit of each in there, didn't they? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they went the high
But
end tanks. Yeah.
they went with the high end stuff. So they're doing a limited run Marine Rifle Company.
Hmm.
So the fact that it's limited run makes me think that they're putting in the weird bathtubs,
Yeah,
the
the
AAT.
AATVs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
It's like,
they're for those who don't know, the Marine Corps transport, the
is it AATV? Is that, remember that right?
AAVP7.
VP. Yeah, it
These
is.
things, these are metal and resin kits.
Hmm.
So the last time Battlefront put metal resin stuff in a box, it was the VDV one, and it was a limited time deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to put a special um, objective in it like they do with the VDV. Maybe, maybe not. But these are metal and resin, so I expect that they'll only be doing that for a limited time.
Hmm.
Uh,
I
if
suspect they
they,
must have. I bet they have Lav ADs in there as well because they're resin metal kits as well.
I would also guess that.
Mhm.
Um, if it wasn't limited, then I would have said that they come with Hueys instead because the Marines can trade out their bathtubs for Hueys,
Yeah, Hueys and Stingers at that point. Yeah.
Hueys and Stingers, and then at that point it's just like, well, it's all plastic, so that makes sense. But the fact that it's limited makes me think that you'll get, probably 2 full-size Marine platoons in HQ, some
Some
Lab ADs,
M60s.
some M60s, and probably some labs in there,
Yeah,
and
a
some
pair of
kind of
Lavs.
artillery,
Cheap.
and probably a pair of Cobras.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the fact, like I say, the other 2 starters, the American starter M2 Bradley Mech and the BMP Battalion, are both not listed as being limited run, means they're probably all plastic boxes.
Yes.
Um,
So
I,
while we're still on the subject of Americans, let's,
hmm?
I'm sorry. Do you have any rampant speculation for the Marine Company?
I mean, I think you knocked it on the head. I
Yeah.
suspect, like I say, it'll be 2. I reckon they might be understrength platoons because Battlefront just have a tendency to never be super generous like that and have 2 full strength ones in. I can see at least 4 M60s being in there, maybe 3, although 4 would be nicer. A couple lavs, maybe some M109s or some helicopters. I can't see both because your figure count starts getting a bit too high at that point. But
Sure, sure. Because I'm thinking of the current American starter, the Armored Cav, where they have 109s
mhm,
and Apaches and Abrams and
or Brads.
Bradleys. Like, then again, one infantry sprue equals a vehicle sprue. Like,
Yeah. But
it's
yeah,
kind
so
of
I reckon
messy.
I can see the M2 Bradley mech being, like, say, that's probably gonna have, I'd say probably two platoons, so that's gonna be four Bradleys each, eight Bradley, nine Bradleys in there.
Yeah,
Two,
enough infantry to go with it all. 9
yep.
Bradleys.
Maybe some mortar the mortar M113s.
I think they'll put in 109s
Yeah, yeah, that's
because
work.
they wouldn't give you too much information. Battlefront loves not giving you stuff information.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe some M1s, I reckon.
I expect 3 M1s,
That's
a
that's fine.
trio,
That's a good
to be
number.
your oomph there. I
And
don't
then
know that
a pair of Apaches or a pair of A10s. We'll do something weird with the air support.
yeah, they'll put some kind of weird air support in here.
BMP
Yeah,
battalion.
BMP
That's one.
battalion. So
BMP
here's
one or BMP three.
here's the thing, right? Is the Soviets, or sorry, the Warsaw Pact,
Hmm.
Soviets included, already have a BMP battalion. It's
Yes.
made up of BMP ones and twos, and it's labeled Warsaw Pact. The
Hmm.
fact that this is a BMP rifle battalion and it specifically calls out Soviet makes me want to say that it is a BMP 3.
Yeah.
The
Wi-
other the other dime to this, and we'll go over it in more thing, but the new 2-player starter has Bradleys and BMP 3s. So I think those will be like, these are being designed as next steps from the 2 players. Now you buy the big army box.
Yeah. I reckon. So I reckon we'll probably see a HQ. Obviously, a HQ with its BMP. Two
Yes.
small platoons.
Yes.
So not
So 9 BMP 3s.
so same as Bradley thing.
Yeah.
Like I say, four T80s and then maybe some 225s or some Hinds. Maybe some
Mm.
Gaskins.
They love throwing in a couple BTR or BRDM holes.
Hmm.
That'll definitely be in there.
Five. They'll put five in 'cause I bet they'll put in their For some reason, they'll put the missile one, the anti-tank missile ones in, and two scout BRDMs. They
Probably,
did that
but
in one of the other boxes.
I think it was in the BMP
Mm.
version.
So yeah, so
So
yeah,
maybe they put a couple Hinds in. I don't know, instead of Frogfoots. Uh,
I was good. I go either. Prove us wrong, Battlefront. Do something interesting with this.
yeah. And then
See, my concern with that is, I think we said before, the BMP3. It's a great light tank. It's a really lousy transport. Um, it works far better as a recce choice to make me like it can dedicate itself to being a light tank.
that
There's
is how I run them. Is I have
mm,
4 of them. I use them as a recce option, and I just kind of have them go around and be annoying wherever I can find like some kind of weakness to exploit, because the BMP2 is way cheaper. It's way cheaper. You still get
and
like,
good enough as an
yeah,
IFV.
you still have the ATGMs, you still have
Mhm.
the auto cannon. Like, it doesn't have nearly as much armor, but that armor barely matters to 80% of the game.
Yeah. Either you're getting shot by a 50 cal, in which case you can laugh it off with BMP3, or you're getting shot at by a Gepard, in which case doesn't matter.
Right.
Or
Or
so you can
you're
say with a
getting shot
six.
at by some kind of garbage
Mhm.
auto cannons, and they're like, okay, it's AT7. You're like, okay, I've got an okay chance at bouncing this, but I'm probably gonna get penned.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
other IFV auto cannons is also like, this is a real crapshoot if I'm gonna live, but you have a chance.
Yeah. BMP3 does do better against Bradleys and that, but then you switch to missiles, just
Right.
overkill it with tow. Yeah. But yeah, so
Confirmed kills and overkill. Real narrow gap
yeah,
in distance there.
the important part of overkill is kill. That's always the important.
Yes. And then finally we have the confirmed 2-player starter set.
Hmm.
So we have a full-size Bradley platoon and then 3 Abrams.
Yep.
But they are marketing them off as M1A1s. So I
Also
don't
knowing
know
the
if this
points
was
change was coming.
I don't know if they did or did not, but the M1 kit builds the IP and the M1A1, so it's the same
Hmm.
Abrams kit. You can build it whatever variant you want. So 3 Abrams, 4 Bradleys and infantry versus uh 4 T80s, 4 BMP3s and infantry. Like it's pretty close. I think the Americans still win in the points section here.
Yeah.
Uh but that being said, for 60 quid, which should be pretty good,
And
all
like I
of
say, you
this.
pair up two of those boxes, it's quite. You get a medium size. You get a medium sized BMP company. Well, you buy one more BMP, but you can buy the individual sprues off eBay easy
Mhm.
enough. You
But
get
I'm sorry, go
most of a
ahead.
Bradley. You get most of a Bradley formation at that point, or what you have is an M1 formation with a mechanized infantry platoon and then two scout Bradley sections,
Yeah,
and just
I think
put.
at least for the Americans, the box that's already out would be really good for this to
Mhm.
pair with this. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
I think for the Soviets, maybe yeah, the T80, the current T80 box would also not be bad because
Hmm.
again, you're getting more T80s, so you'll have enough to move away from shock into regular T80s. Uh, you have way too much BMP3 infantry though. You need to buy other transports, so that's kind of meh. But if we're even like 70 to 80% on with our guesses for the BMP and the Bradley boxes, then you'll have 3 troop choices if you combine one of those boxes with this, because the starter
Yep.
boxes are traditionally legal formations. I
Hmm.
don't think there's ever been an illegal formation put into a single army starter box.
I mean, the British one should be illegal, but it is actually technically correct.
Technically correct is the best kind of correct, as Futurama has taught us.
Yes.
Uh, but again, we're expecting that it's going to be, Bradleys and Abrams against, some BMP3 infantry and some T80s.
Yep.
So it's not going to be a great pair with the Warsaw Pact BMP, because you can't mix and match what kind of BMPs you bring in a formation, and also they give you, what tanks do
No,
they
you
give you
can.
in that?
So
They give you T55s.
A Soviet BMP formation can mix the BMPs.
Can I don't
It
remember if
can.
I
Yes, it
can.
can. Look at so yes. Look at a
I'm
Soviet.
looking it up right now.
Look at
Oh
faster. Look
yeah, it's
faster.
just a B. It
Yeah.
is just BMP. So
You could have a
yeah,
BMP1 HQ, a BMP3 company, a BM2 company. It's
yeah. So
big.
you know what? That actually it does work out with that. The downside of
Mhm.
it being, I think the Warsaw Pact one gives you T55s as the tank.
Yes, you'd have to take them as formation support rather than as being in formation. But yeah.
Yes, but that minor gripe aside, you can mix and match what kinds of there we go. What kinds of BMPs you can get.
Hmm?
So actually, it pairs decently well with the other Soviet BMP box. I don't know about the packed T72 box, because if you're playing Soviets, you don't want to play anything labeled T72. So I would say, as fledgling Soviet player, stay away from that particular box. But
Hmm.
I don't know how long people are going to want to buy the because the problem with the packed BMP box is it gives you 2 minimum strength platoons and no PKMs. So you can't even make them a medium-sized company.
No, whereas
The
but
way
what
with
you
these
get
new Soviet sprues are, though,
because the
is
PKM is built onto that sprue, you'll have
yes,
the PKMs.
right. So they can't play that little trick of like, we didn't include the PKM sprues
Have you?
because this is literally the platoon
Yes, but
thing.
you only get one base worth on one sprue. So in that starter set, you'll probably get one sprue, I'm guessing, by the looks of it. Working out the figure count. For
Where's that
RPGs,
picture?
yes.
Um,
Yeah. So
yeah.
you probably get one American infantry sprue, one Soviet sprue. You'll get one PKM's worth of figures basically. But if you get two boxes, and you'll have enough to do a proper company.
Yeah, because well, the thing is,
You need two PKM teams.
you wouldn't have enough RPGs and AK teams to make it up anyway. But if you got two, then you could run a medium size.
Yeah,
You'd be a BMP short actually, because it's 9
that's what I'm saying.
BMPs.
You have to buy a BMP after you can buy individual BMP sprues from
Yeah.
Battlefront, and eBay always has individual. Because what people do is they buy these starters and break them down, sell the sprues online on eBay.
Mm. Anyway, so I think this is this is pretty good. I
I
think
like
it's
it.
better than the current two-player Team Yankee because you're not getting the weird
Mix of tanks.
mix
Yeah,
in tanks. Because the Americans had Abrams,
M60s,
Bradleys, and M60s. The Soviets had T80s, BMP3s, and
T64s,
T64s.
and just T not 64s, not even BV 64s.
Well, it came out before the T64 BV
Oh
was
yeah, it came out
out,
that before.
so I'm willing to forgive the box of like, well, we didn't have the T64 BV sprue, although they could easily throw it in, but why would they?
I kind of wish this box set was 4 T64 BVs and 4 BMP2s. It would make it slightly more useful as a box. I think they got a bit too high end on the Soviet stuff.
I mean, as a guy who just loves the T80 a lot, it's hard to complain, but
Oh
I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
this is a very minor quibble. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
This is just 'cause I've got so many T80s already. I don't want to get
yeah.
any
I mean,
more.
like
But
it's how many pounds is the current Team Yankee 2 player right now, Lee? 40?
I think it was about
50?
50. It was 50 quid after the price increase. I think when they
Okay.
first came out, it was 40 quid. It was absurd value.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
massive. It was like
they a couple of months later they put all the
60
starters
or
up to
80 bucks in
50.
America. Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're going to 60. So and
So
at
like,
60, it's still pretty good value.
unfortunately the
I
cost of literally everything has gone up in the last few years. Literally
yeah,
everything has gone up
capitalism.
in the last few years. So yeah.
Thanks,
Anyway,
Obama.
yeah. Anyway, so I think this is pretty good because how many pounds is like a 5 pack of tanks? Like 50
So
pounds?
it's so a £5 ace
Sorry, it's fifty
box.
dollars for 5 tanks.
Yeah, so a box of five in the UK is £40.
Okay,
So we're easily making bank compared to that. Because I mean,
right.
effectively you got four Bradleys, 4080s. I mean, yeah, you're already better than buying those separately, kind of thing. So
As long as you want more than just one thing, it's gone are the days where I'm like, oh, I just need some Abrams. I'm just gonna buy the 2-player starter set because the Abrams cover the cost of literally everything. But
now, if you want Abrams, you just buy a box of five. Unfortunately, yeah, it is.
yeah,
Yeah, well, it
so
was 40 quid. It would have been yeah.
it would have been like, why would you buy if you were gonna buy a box of Bradleys? Why would you buy literally anything? But like,
Mhm.
if you want one of these infantry options, I think it all kind of comes out and pays for itself.
Yeah, because like I said,
Uh,
the mech platoon, because the American mech platoon, if you scroll up,
is 12
was
pounds.
yeah, and the Soviet one was 40, it was £16. So
Right, and then I don't know how many pounds. Like, I think if you want one infantry selection, we'll call it,
mhm.
this box still basically pays for itself and hands you a lavish amounts of generosity. So it's not
Yeah,
about
see,
saving on the tanks anymore, but it's about saving on the infantry and the IFVs because
yeah,
having to buy those separately is a real pain in the ass.
yeah. If you were to buy a Bradley platoon with the Bradleys and the infantry, buy this box,
Yeah,
buy a couple of these boxes and sell the surplus. You'll come out quids out.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I think this is a good box.
I like it. I want one in my hands. I want my hands right now
Well,
to
if you're
distract
good,
me from
Mark will
painting.
order some so we can unbox them for the site.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully. So yeah, as always, share your thoughts below. What you think? I think I'm excited. Hopefully
Yeah.
you are too.
Post your insane ideas of in your rampant speculation of what is in these mystery box starters.
Hmm.
Explain to me why I'm wrong and how it says it's a marine company, but it's actually an M60 company. Please tell me in the comments. I'm dying to hear your insane takes.
What I wanted to see was a special one-off starter for an American light attack formation, which would just be a box just full of infantry sprues and Humvee sprues. So you could do
Oh
that.
my
Still, unit has like
god.
10 Humvees and 10 sortines.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. When you said light attack, my brain immediately went to the GI Joe tanks,
Yeah.
and I'm like, those are resin
What
and metal.
Yeah, but it has that in that formation. But I just want a box that just has, because if you go to go to forces a second, look at the US one. Their platoons are I want to say it's 10 Humvees and it's like
Uh,
7 sortines, and 8
Combined
swords.
Arms Light, I want to
That's
say is
it.
the
Yes,
one.
I think
Yeah.
that's yeah, light attack
Light
ones.
motor
That's it.
infantry.
Yeah. So 6 sword teams, 1 Jimpy team, 3 dragon teams, and 10 Humvees.
10 Humvees, and it's too many Humvees.
I know Nathan wants to do this, and he just can't bring himself to the number of Humvees he has to buy to do it.
It's an ungodly number of Humvees. Also, what sprue is this going to be, the mech or the rifle?
I think you have to do it for a weird combination of both, because you haven't got enough dragon teams with a rifle box.
And you don't have
You
enough
haven't got
saw teams
you haven't
with
got the
the mech.
M60. Yeah, exactly. I think you'd have to buy to do this. You have to buy a mech platoon and a rifle platoon to have enough infantry, have the right number of figures to do one light motor platoon.
I mean, that being said, you could just run the 8 stand version,
Yeah,
and I think
with
you
no
can
M60 up.
actually hold on. What's the
And let's face it, that's probably a more realistic number of things to do.
hold on? I'm just very quickly Bradley. Oh, it's 4. Yeah.
Whereas if you look at
It might be enough with the Marine rifle.
yes, with the
Or
Marine rifle,
the
you'd have at
82nd.
least 2 dragon. Yeah, you'd have at least 2
Right, so
dragons.
you'd have 2
Yeah.
dragons and you'd have enough saws. So
So
at the very
do the
least,
smaller of the 2. Yeah.
if you want to run the small, then you just buy the Marine / 82nd one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want the big, then you're gonna have to get real weird
Buy
with it.
well, buy what you do is do that because you have to at least have more than one platoon
Oh wait,
anyway.
actually, you know what? We
You buy 1 motor platoon for 2 and 2 rifle platoons. That'll give you 2 light motor platoons.
Yeah. That being said, though, weren't there some leftover models we couldn't account for on the Marine one that we had a weird number left over? Maybe it
Yeah.
is extra dragons for this.
Once we know what the box contents are, I'm going to
Yeah.
revisit this and work it out. Yeah. Once I know what the box contents are, to
When
actually
they
confirm
actually
with them.
tell us, when we see
Mm-hmm.
more than just image
Fire,
coming soon.
Firestorm trying to tantalize us or taunt us when we're there.
Yeah. So once we get actual, when Battlefront makes the official, here's the boxes, here's what's in them, we can break this down a little better.
Which I
And
suspect will be this month to allow for pre-orders for August
well, the
delivery.
fact that in this big old thing right here it says in stores August.
Yeah, and
Followed
early August
by
based on the yeah.
Well,
I think the starter. If you go to
oh yeah,
that's earlier,
the 10th,
and
yeah.
and 10th
And
for the
then
actual
later
mech
in the
starter.
month, well, actually,
It's,
this one is also the American Bradley's also on the same day. This is all, of
yeah.
course, rampant speculation because Firestorm Games might be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a date for the Soviet BMP one because it's already on back order. But for this other stuff, the actual plastic infantry and the limited run Marine rifle section is put at the end of August.
Yeah.
So I expect anytime in the next week or two, we are going to get the official. Because I this picture did not come from Battlefront. This picture that we're looking at right now came from Firestorm. I don't think Battlefront has shown this off to us, have they?
No, I don't think this picture came from Firestorm. It just appeared. Somebody got it from a local friendly gaming store.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's appeared officially on Team Yankee yet.
I don't think this picture has shown up in officially in Team Yankee. So
I'll check the Twitter in a minute. Maybe it was my Twitter.
We're all, I'm expecting the next, if it's really coming out in roughly 40 days, give or take, we have to get an announcement soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like by the end of the week, if I would guess, to give time to build up hype and take pre-orders on Battlefront's official website.
I mean, what would be more appropriate for American Independence Weekend than this thing with a big Star Spangled Banner on it and Abrams blowing shit up? I mean, is that the epitome of what the forefather wanted with it?
USA, USA. Anyway, but yeah, so it very well be by the time this editing comes out, they will have officially announced all this stuff, and our rampant speculation could be laughed at in hindsight.
Probably, maybe.
Probably.
But yeah, I think that's it for this episode.
I think that is it for this episode of Time of Day.
Yeah, and once we do have those starters, obviously we'll go back and revisit the Team Yankee tier list and slot them in appropriately.
Yeah. Uh, we're gonna have to keep Mike Everest away because he'll just demand that the Marine Corps ones end up in buy two, no matter what weird ass shit they cram in there.
Him and Daryl just frothing at the Marine Corps of it. Yes.
It says Marines on it. I'm like, but why? Just stop. No.
You get a free K bar in it. No, you don't. There you are.
No,
But
K
yeah.
bars are shockingly expensive for what they are.
Mm-hmm. It's no yeah, Commando Dagger, but yeah. So as always, that's time of day. Keep following us for more nonsense, as well as Shoot and Scoop podcast. But yeah, thanks for listening. Leave your comments below. Mike, you gonna say a like and subscribe hit?
Please always remember the YouTube pleasantries. Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube is holding my family hostage and I'm desperate to get them back. So I need your help. Shoot and Scoot Nation, lend me your power.
Are you a bad
Bad.
enough dude to save Mike's family? Yes.
I was making a Dragon Ball Z reference, but the Streets of Rage is also good. All right, everyone. Until
Thanks
next
so
time.
much. Have a happy Independence Day, and we'll catch you later. Yes, I am. Cool. So use a mic. So just about to make sure the sound levels are okay. Not coming through too loud.
No, sound normal to
Good.
me.
Okay, coming from my headphones. Excellent. Hello and welcome to another episode of Time of Day, the Flames of War and Team Yankee video podcast. Or no, that's not what we do, is it? It's
You
transatlantic
say
podcast, isn't it?
transatlantic.
Ah, man. Right. Every time, every single time. I need to at least have this written down somewhere. I can just get.
You see, this is why Lee flubs the intro, or sorry, Fez flubs the intro is not on the bingo card because I know you just edit it out until he gets the intro right.
Exactly. Occasionally keeps it. Every so often he keeps part of it in, but yes. Hello and welcome to another episode of Time of Day, the Transatlantic Wargaming Podcast.